right? It's not the case that we make moral decisions based on principle. At least empirically, it's not the case. People don't just go around making decisions based on, oh, well, is it good to lie or is it bad to lie, right? It's context dependent. You don't just give a situation. I mean, at least empirically, it's the case that sometimes it matters to people what the
Think
context is,
critically about
right?
that, or if you
So it's like it's not just
refer to
bad to
it
lie and it's
as a
not just good to
standard, then
lie.
yes, you're
Sometimes it's
wrong.
bad to lie, sometimes it's good to lie. And that's not always
Yeah, sometimes it is okay, and I will agree. It's not always black and white, right? There are some times where if you're in a survival situation, it's fine to kill animals to survive, right?
that's your opinion.
Oh my God. So we're arguing from moral nihilism.
For moral nihilism, I can argue for moral nihilism if that's what you
That's
want to do.
what you're arguing from. Yeah, of
I'm
course
not
I'm not going to
arguing
be
for
able to
moral
combat a
nihilism.
moral nihilist.
I'm not arguing for moral nihilism. I'm arguing for moral
Then
relativism.
you just called my Okay. That's moral nihilism. Moral relativism is akin to moral. You're essentially saying morals don't exist.
Is there a difference, Josh? You want to explain it to him? Josh, you there?
Yeah, there isn't a difference because it is moral nihilism.
Well, ask
so...
him. Right?
No, there is a difference, right?
Okay,
So moral
hold on.
relativism means there are things that one ought and ought not do, and those things are relative. Moral nihilism
to the society you're in, right?
No, let him talk and shut the fuck up.
It doesn't have to be to a society. You can be an individual relativist, and moral nihilism is it's not the case that you ought to do X, and it's not the case that you ought not to do X, and it's not the case that it's morally permissible or impermissible to do X.
So you're arguing for moral individualism?
You're not a moral relativist, but you're a utilitarian. So what's your position on morality?
What's my position on morality?
Yeah. What are you?
I'm a utilitarian, I would say, just generally, but I'm a lot of things.
Are you a moral realist?
He said he's a utilitarian.
I'm a utilitarian, essentially. I would say that defines me well enough.
I mean, okay, so what would you say to someone who didn't hold your values, who didn't value utilitarianism?
Well, then I would entertain their philosophical worldview, right? I would say if theirs makes more sense than mine, then maybe I'd adopt it.
How can values be types of things that make sense?
Well, I'd say that it's ultimately subjective, really. It is. You're right so far as that's concerned, right? Your moral worldview is subjective. It just so happens that many people agree with mine. They just don't know it.
Many people agree with you. I don't think that. I think that.
Yeah, because common. Hold on.
Naive analysis. It's just a really naive analysis. And to be a utilitarian is not to be honest with yourself, because there are things that you would not want to do. There are situations I can put you in where even if it produced the most happiness, health, and well-being for the entire population, you still wouldn't want to do them.
No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. That is a classic failing of utilitarianism.
I'm just being honest, right? By not being a utilitarian.
Okay, so what are you? What is your moral framework?
Relativist. I just look at the values I see in the world, and I make my decisions based on that.
Okay, so if society tomorrow made legislation that made factory farming illegal and eating animals legal, you would just go along with that? You wouldn't question?
Made factory farming illegal or legal?
Illegal, as in like every bit of meat production was stopped for environmental reasons and stuff like that. Let's just say environmental reasons.
But it's not because I agree with them or disagree with them. It's just because I wouldn't want to go through the fucking hassle of fighting.
Okay, and if tomorrow we all woke up and 99.9% of people believed in slavery, would you just go along with it?
No.
Okay, so you don't really... Again, I understand what you're saying, and I'm a moral relativist so far as, like, the society informs morals, but you can't say that that's, like, a philosophical position on what you actually believe.
Why can't I say... Look, I have a position...
Because it's all relative. By definition, it's not even a philosophical outlook. It's just a statement on...
How is that not a philosophical outlook? What?
Yeah, it's a
Realist.
philosophical outlook so far as it's like a statement on how humans conduct themselves, right? Like people.
I'm just saying what moral values are, right? And the only coherent analysis of moral values is that they're relative. How is that not a philosophical position?
I mean, it is so far as like that's an outlook on how people conduct themselves, but it isn't like an actual position that you
Empirical
take.
claim. It's not an empirical claim. I'm not talking about how people conduct themselves, although it is true that people don't conduct themselves as if realism were true, and it is true that people don't conduct themselves as if utilitarianism true. Although that is true, that's not what my thesis states. My thesis is that the only coherent analysis of morals is moral relativism.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Problem, I mean, yeah, like for me, I don't like animal suffering, right? But
You just
there's some
contribute to it. I don't understand that. Just don't say that. Just don't say that.
what do you think I
No,
prefer
just no. I don't think you do. But just don't say it because it just comes
Does
off
it
as like
ruffle
lip
your
service.
jimmies?
No, it just comes off as lip service, right? Like I don't care if you find the suffering distasteful. You contribute to it. So please just shut up.
Look, pollution causes animal suffering, right? But you drive a car.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't think cars are ethical, so I wouldn't even. I would make the argument that they aren't.
Say you don't, just like you told him. Don't say you don't like animal suffering if you drive a car. That's what you're saying to him, retard.
I don't drive a car.
Do
He
you
says he
take
doesn't
public
drive a car.
transportation?
I have a bike.
Oh,
don't
okay.
drive a car.
You have a bike. Yeah, do you know how that steel, the steel or the aluminum that was made? Hold on, GG. How was the steel and the aluminum made for the bike?
I have no clue.
Yeah, it was made in a factory that pumped out CO2 emissions, so that's gonna damage animals. I think you should stop riding your bike.
You do understand the difference between necessary and unnecessary evils, right?
How is eating meat
Do
to
you
get
do you
part
know
of
how
your
to make?
diet
Do you
not
know?
It's just
unnecessary?
what
It's entirely. Hold on.
necessary.
It's
Saying it's
unnecessary because you
necessary
can
and
live
saying
without
it's
it.
unnecessary.
It's
Look, saying it's
unnecessary.
necessary
It's
and saying
unnecessary because you
Stop,
can live without it.
Zycro.
The distinction between necessary and unnecessary is what is most rational to do to accomplish your goals, right?
No, it
And it
isn't.
might just happen to be the case that it's necessary for animals to suffer as much as they do for me to accomplish my goals.
No, you're wrong. Necessary and unnecessary basically highlight necessity, right? What you need.
Yeah, necessity highlights
To
necessity.
what?
Thank you.
Hold on. Is there a coherent analysis of necessity irrespective of some aim?
I would say that really gets into like a lot of areas, right? A lot of different pockets.
Just
So
answer the question.
it's a loaded question. I would
Not
say
a
So
question.
what?
The answer. It's not a loaded question. The
Mhm.
answer is no, right? Because need is need in order to, right? In order to accomplish X. So
well, I would argue that you don't need meat to accomplish any.
Well, you don't need to ride a bike either.
but you need to kill animals and in order to afford to eat you need to have animals suffer the amount they do in order to eat meat affordably.
Yeah, but you don't need to eat meat in the first place.
What
And you don't need to ride a bike.
Need goes toward what aim, right?
I don't need to
What aim are you trying to
What
accomplish
What aim
by
are
eating
you
meat?
trying to
my goal is
accomplish?
to starve to death and die. I don't need to do
Okay,
anything.
if I get a bike, I'm trying to accomplish getting from point A to point B. If I get a car, I'm trying to get from point A to point B.
Right. And so how they accomplish the same goals, and the problem is
The
point is
problem
that
is
need
that
is
there's no correlation there
the
with
animals to
meat.
suffer. I do need the animals to suffer in order to enjoy it
No, you don't.
affordably in this
No, you don't.
economy.
You really do not need meat. That's not even you're not even going to make that argument
So-
successfully. You do not need-
I do if I have a desire to enjoy the taste of meat.
so. Hold on.
that
hold
isn't
on.
that isn't a need.
Zycro.
What are you talking about?
Zycro.
Yes, it is.
It
If
isn't
you
a need.
have a desire, right, and the only way to fulfill that desire is by killing animals, then you need to do that in order to fulfill that desire. Just like if you have
Desire and need are entirely different.
See, here's the thing. Here's
like
the
if you
problem,
have a
right?
desire, just like if you have a desire to transport yourself from point A to point B, you need certain things to do that. But without the desire, you don't need anything.
Don't
That's
act as if
only because
don't act as if travel and eating meat are on the same level. They're really not.
they are on the same level. There's
really
no
aren't.
difference. No, they are on the same level. The only difference is
No, one is drastically more
Why?
important than the other, and you're being
Zycro,
entirely dishonest.
Zycro, am I gonna have to ask CC to mute you while Josh talks?
dishonest.
Go fuck yourself.
Whatsoever. I'm saying I'm giving you an analysis of what necessity is, and necessity only makes sense is that it goes to fulfill some desire. Do you need a car to go anywhere?
Perhaps there's an argument to be made that practically, yeah, you do.
Why would you need a car if you don't need to go anywhere?
Well, okay, maybe you do need to go somewhere. Maybe you need to get to work, to and from
Okay,
back
so
to work,
if you have a desire to go to work,
and make money to survive. Yeah.
if you have a desire to do those things, then you need a car. Just
Yeah,
like if you
either
have
that
a
or you can live
desire
on the
to taste-
streets, man. Yeah,
just
that
like if you
seems
have
like a lot
just
more.
like if you have a desire, just like if you have a desire to taste cow meat.
You cut
Again,
out
I
there,
think
Josh?
that I think that you don't understand the distinction here. Are you seriously going to say that the pleasure of eating meat is on the same level with getting a job and sustaining yourself? Are you saying that those are essentially the same? Not one could be categorized as more important than the other? Is that seriously what you're saying?
Not what I'm saying.
Okay, well then make the categorical distinction. You do not need meat. It's purely for pleasure. It's purely for pleasure. And if you get a car, it's purely
What's
for
the
pleasure. And if you
argument
get a
for
car
that?
and you get hold on, it is purely for pleasure. And if you get a car to get to point A to point B and work a job, that is not purely for pleasure.
How
That
is
is for
it purely
practical
for
reasons.
pleasure? What's the argument for that?
That is for purely practical reasons, to live life, to have a sustainable household, to live life functionally
But the only
modern.
reason-
No,
to
no,
do
no.
that is
For
that it
me,
satisfies some
you
desire.
made an assertion about meat eating that it's only for pleasure. What's the argument
is.
for that?
You do not need it to survive. You can live just fine without it.
That
Yet
is
people-
false. There are vitamins like there
have a
are
job.
certain vitamins that you need that you can either
Do you
there are
think
only
it's
Silent, you're a retard.
Hold on. Why are people interrupting me? Why is this guy
Silent,
interrupting me?
because you're a
I'm
retard
about
and
to-
B12 is supplemented in the feeds of
about
the
to-
animals. Do you
I'm
Well,
understand
you're
that?
just going to degenerate to calling people retards.
I'm
Yeah,
about to-
I'll
I'm
degenerate to
about
that point
shit
because
on
he
this
doesn't
kid.
understand
I'm about
even.
to shit on this kid. So if you would
Okay.
shut the fuck up now, thank you. There's certain vitamins that the only thing in our diets that provide them are either meat or external vitamins. And if we're going to talk about you buying vitamins to supplement it, right, then we're going to talk about what we have to do in order to make those vitamins in the factories that we require that produce pollution that damage animals, right? So there's no way getting us around that there are certain vitamins that only the meat from animals provide.
No, that's absolutely not true. No, let me speak. Let me speak.
You don't need a fucking job or a bike to survive, right? You
Let me
can walk around, you can move to a warm climate and walk around eating out of trash cans, and you don't need shelter because you live in a warm climate.
Okay, you're a fucking idyot. Anyways, yeah, we
nice
supplement.
Do
argument.
you think you're gonna die if you don't have a bike?
No.
Then you don't need a bike.
Okay. Well, anyways, as I was saying,
Get rid of your
B12
bike,
is
you don't need your
supplement.
bike.
Hold on. B12 is supplemented in the feeds of cows, right? They actually supplement it. Either way, you're getting it supplemented. Do you understand that? Do you even know that, or do you think that B12 is inherent in all meat? You fucking idiot.
It's not inherent in all
completely
meat.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it isn't, because it's a fucking bacteria, and how we originally got B12 was from dirty fucking water, dirty food. Our food is too clean. Our food is too clean, and that's why you're not getting enough bacteria on it. It isn't fucking inherent in meat, you dipshit. It's already supplemented.
Yeah,
Either way.
Animal foods do have it naturally.
And that is the
because
one
they
vitamin
don't-
that you can't get from plant foods, by the way. That is a single vitamin, and it is a fucking bacteria, and it's not even inherent in meat. So what the fuck are you even talking about?
So he's kind of losing his mind, but
No, you're
yeah,
just completely nutritionally
I just-
retarded,
I
and you
just-
don't know what the
look,
fuck you're talking
I'm gonna
about,
have to ask someone to
and you
come
got
mute
called out
you.
on it.
I'm gonna have to ask someone to come mute you if you keep over talking aggressively and insulting like that. So
Okay.
Irrelevant whether
I'm
or
sorry,
not
you're
it's-
fucking idiot.
so look, I think we had a calm conversation before. I think we can remain calm now. So I just looked it up, right? It says that B12 comes into certain animal foods naturally, particularly foods like beef. We may increase the amount of B12 that's in those beef by supplementing it, but it still comes from
Do you
those
know how
things
they
naturally.
get B12?
Look.
Do you think it
I just
occurs
fucking
naturally
shit
in
on you.
meat, or are you just that stupid?
I fucking found a website that does fucking say it. WebMD.
Well, they're
you fucking
wrong. It's a
moron.
bacteria. They
WebMD
eat
is
dirty foods.
WebMD is dumber than you are.
Absolutely, dude.
You have
Listen,
more intelligence than WebMD and more information than WebMD. Can you provide
it does not occur naturally in meat.
Can you
You're
provide
just plain
Can
wrong.
you provide the evidence to that?
Okay.
Me? I'm gonna
I
go.
don't think he said WebMD was wrong.
Zycro, you ain't got the polished arguments, man. That's all there is to it. You feel the good intent, but you don't have the arguments.
Hold on.
Truth from cunts.
I'm not a vegan, but I have a pretty compelling argument for it.
I doubt it.
Are you
It's-
gonna try your next attempt? Whoever was saying that they have a viable argument.
Yeah. So the best argument I've heard is that if you want to be treated humanely, in the hypothetical where there is intelligent life, like more intelligent life than human life, essentially you are in the position of the animal, and this other life form can treat you in the way we treat animals.
Okay. Silent, you wanted a source on that?
Yeah, I just gave you another source that shows how animals store vitamin B12 in their liver and muscles.
Oh yeah. How do they get it in there?
Yeah, they store it.
Yeah, they store it from
Yeah,
where? From where?
Do you have the citation for me?
From
So
where?
where do they get
No,
that?
This is important. How do they get the B12?
Can you
Silent.
fucking cite it or shut the fuck up?
Silent. How do they get it?
I'm muting
Do you
you
know what
until you cite it.
It's irrelevant. Their
It's a
B12
fair
thing is
question.
irrelevant. It's completely a waste of time to talk along those
It's
lines.
aside.
My reason for eating meat might alone just be to piss off vegans, right? That might be a value in and of itself. I might just like pissing off vegans. What are you gonna do
Silent,
about
where does
that?
B12 come from?
Are
Do
you
know what B12 is,
are you
Silent?
gonna ask me an
Silent?
inane question, or are you gonna provide the
Silent, do you know what B12 is?
It comes
What is
from
B12?
animals. Look, I'm gonna ask a
It
mod to
comes
come
from
in here right
animals?
now.
Are you retarded?
I'm gonna
Silent?
ask a mod to come in here right now and mute you.
Well, wipe the cum off your face.
Now, Krilly, can you mute him until he provides this citation? Because he's gonna ask this inane question over and over and over again, screaming into the mic.
What's
I
going
just
on?
want to know.
Well,
I just want to.
While he's looking for that, though, Silent, do you know where animals get B12 from?
Yeah, thanks, JJ.
It's obviously doesn't.
I'm sure
Otherwise, he would have said something.
I'm sure he's looking for some information. Do you know where animals get B12 from?
I was pretty sure I was understood that they ate like the stuff they ate had those like organisms in it that would create it within their muscles. Oh my god, look, he
It's
has to look.
almost like
This
it's
guy is
not
autistic.
naturally occurring.
I just want to know what if the value
Wow.
in killing and eating animals is just to piss off vegans? What if you do it just to piss off vegans? How else are you going to accomplish that? And how would being consistent by eating like brain dead people, how would that piss off vegans? Happier. So it might be better just to kill animals and eat them if you want to piss off vegans, right? What's the best way to piss off a vegan, huh? Eat a fucking
animal.
steak.
Be Ron Swanson.
It's necessary to eat meat in order to piss off vegans, right? That question, I don't get it.
No, I agree with you, JJ.
Is it necessary to eat meat to piss off vegans?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah.
Zycro, why don't you answer that question? Hello?
Usually doesn't take much to piss off vegans.
Yeah, he went from calm and cool collected to like fucking screaming his brains out. And
The
under, like, 10
reason
minutes.
why is because I really hate it when somebody is like so tacitly uneducated on a topic.
Can you educate me and provide the source? We're
Look,
still
don't
waiting
worry,
for
don't
that.
worry about, don't worry
Okay,
about
do
that.
I need to
asked
provide?
you a
Hold on. Do I
question.
need to provide the
Can he
source for
not
the
hear
thing that
me?
you've already basically?
I want to ask
admitted?
him. Can he hear me? Well, can you hear me,
How
Zycro?
about you shut up? I can hear you.
Question. What's the best way to piss off the group of people that is vegans? What's the best way to do that?
Why would you want to do that?
Just shut up, Radson, and listen.
Zycro, I asked you a question. What's the best way to do that?
Why aren't you answering?
Right, because he doesn't have an answer to that question because he knows that the best way, if your aim is to piss off a bunch of vegans, the best way is to go around saying, well, you won't kill humans for this or that reason, right? And then just continuing to eat meat and talk about eating meat and shit. And he can't deny that because, like, look how fucking triggered he is.
I think the vegan has to be a mindset to be triggerable. I mean, I'm a vegan. I don't get triggered from anything.
Meat last week, Radson. Shut up.
It was once in a year.
Yeah, you fucking lying pansy faggot.
So Dash, what is your position, dude? I mean, what is finally your position?
Just try to trigger me.
What?
Wait, on whether or not people should eat meat?
I mean, I want to know what his position is. What's his point?
What's whose point?
What was the question?
What was the best way to piss off the group of people that is vegans?
He seems like he doesn't want to engage no more.
I just don't want to engage with such an inane question that has like nothing to do with ethics.
Not the question.
I guess if your whole worldview is contingent upon pissing off vegans, then you have like a really
Your whole
strange
worldview.
moral
It
framework.
could just be that you value that more than you value the suffering of animals. There's nothing inconsistent about that, is there?
I guess not, man.
Yeah, I'm not an ethical vegan. I mean, if humans suffer, why do animals not have to suffer too?
That's not what
Smart
any
life.
vegan
What?
advocates. Quantum. That's not what any vegan advocates.
So would a vegan
Dash,
get
what is-
pissed if they saw somebody in a fur coat?
Some vegans would. I really don't give shit.
So what would be the difference if the person was walking around in a fur coat or eating this meat that fur came from?
Ultimately, it just comes down to picking your battles, right? Like the fur coat industry isn't as widespread as the meat industry, so that's kind of my answer. Pick your battles wisely.
But people eat meat to sustain themselves, and
Okay,
these
again,
days
that's
you
not a good
really
argument.
you really don't have to wear fur to stay warm. No, I just find it ironic.
Yeah, and I agree.
that-
Fur's shitty, but it's just about picking your battles because it will drastically reduce climate change if you give up meat, right? And that's sort of my argument from like a human-centric point of view. So if you want to talk about humans sustaining themselves, well, I agree. Let's sustain ourselves. Let's give up meat so the planet can last longer, so we can colonize other planets. I agree with you. Let's save the humans.
So not eating
Changing
meat
your diet
will
is a change in
stay-
Or get lab-grown meat.
I think Molly was trying to talk.
That's all right. No, go ahead. I just find it silly, the whole maddening way vegans approach what someone personally chooses to do.
Yeah, the thing is that if your personal actions affect the rest of the humans on the planet, then that's problematic.
Well, I apologize if my state got in the way of your survival.
Yeah, it gets in the way of the survival of the human species, which I pretty much think that every human is in.
Pretty
has
sure the
same thing.
human race is still alive right now, right? We've been eating meat for
Oh yeah,
millions
that's a
of
great
years.
argument. We're alive right now.
We've been
guys.
eating meat for millions of years.
Checkmate, vegan.
Yep,
That's
checkmate.
It's not the. I don't know the name for that, but that's like, I don't know. I think that's fallacious.
We've been eating meat for literally like
Guys, we're
millions of
alive
years.
now.
We've been eating.
Right,
Hold on.
but you're
Why are-
saying
Climate
that.
change? What?
Look, why is this guy? This guy is allergic to shutting up when other people talk. It's annoying. So.
It's 'cause you're
It's a
fucking-
shitty argument. Silent.
So look, we've been eating meat for millions of years, right? Why should we
argument.
just stop? Why did it just start causing it? It just start causing global climate change now?
Oh, it just started now. It didn't start before either.
Yeah, I don't think
Maybe it
that-
has something to do with the rising populations and the prevalence of
Ah,
animal
so it doesn't
agriculture.
have. It isn't really eating meat. Isn't the cause, right?
Actually, no, that's
Alright.
not. I don't know why you're stupid sometimes, Simon.
So
If one-
it's
It's
not.
because
So
the
what
meat
you're
is clogging
saying,
his
it's
brain
not.
valves.
Oh, so
If
you're
one
not
person-
really saying that eating meat is bad. It's just the way that what animals are raised and meat is processed. So if they did it differently, you wouldn't have an issue with it.
If they did it differently, like if it didn't affect climate change at all.
Hmm.
I
Is
know
that what
Bill
you're-
Gates has a project where he does harmless meat or something like that, where it's just like meat grown from stem cells in a laboratory.
Yeah, like if we do lab grown meat, then I'm fine with that.
Lab grown meat. Thank you. No, I would rather go out and shoot an elk.
That's fine,
So
bro.
that's another
I mean,
too,
it's
right?
Zycro's ethics are like that. I mean, that's fine. Why would we care?
I would say you would care because if you care about humans, you care about climate change. You care about climate change. You care about the animal agriculture industry. You should eliminate it.
They should.
I care about humans more than you. That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, you think so? So what other
That's
things that
stupid.
affect the climate should we get rid of?
Plenty. There's plenty
What?
to get rid of. I don't know. Cars, for instance, cars are drastically inefficient. We need to change those. There's lots of things we need to change. It just so happens that on that checklist, one of the biggest ones happens to be the animal agriculture industry. So I just care about humans more than you.
Oh,
You're just morally superior
makes
to
a lot of
everyone
sense.
else, right?
That's true.
Mm.
Like,
It's
you are
super
more aware
inconvenient
of
that,
that
you know, I just want to sustain the human race longer than you, and
You're
you guys
just
don't.
morally superior
For
to
basically
everybody,
taste
right?
pleasure.
You're just better than
Hard
us.
to be morally superior than you, Simon.
in that sense, you're right. In that sense, you're right. Dude.
So he doesn't have a problem with hunting for your food, right?
No, man, I just care about the humans. I'm just all about the humans.
Zycro, I thought you said you were a utilitarian.
You didn't
JJ, you're a robot.
Damn.
But wait, are you really always against meat then? If we could get meat, if we could get meat in a way that didn't damage the environment, you wouldn't have a problem with it?
No, man, it's all about the humans.
So you don't actually have a problem with people who eat meat? It's just the way they eat
sure.
meat?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
that's
Zycro.
interesting
Lab
because
grown is the only way to do
no,
that,
that was
but,
an
yeah.
interesting statement that you made because I actually, I don't know.
Look,
save
you're
lab-
not gonna. I've had enough discussions like this that nobody here is gonna argue in good faith about ethics.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
understand
We're
this.
all
Nobody
below
here is
you,
gonna-
and you're just so much more moral than us, and we
No,
just
you're
won't
just not
argue
gonna
in
argue
good
in good
faith.
faith, and that's what's gonna happen. So
Oh,
I'll just
yeah,
argue
yeah,
that
yeah.
I
This is
care
what
about
I-
humans more than you, and I do. So
But
whatever.
I've been caring for humans for over 20 years.
Oh yeah, emotionally
Yeah.
manipulate me completely off
No,
point.
I'm a nurse and I've been
Okay.
taking care of humans and saving lives for over 20 years. So how is your stance more vital than mine? I mean, you bitch. I actually do things.
Oh yeah, changing your diet and
So you changed your diet. Congratulations. How many people did you save with that?
hold on, let me see how much water and shit I've saved.
How many people have you saved, Molly? Whoever has the echo needs to fix it, please.
Yeah, you need to fix that echo. It throws me off.
I could not count.
Well, if you just a general guess, what would you say?
Let's downcode. Let's say 400 for the game.
Let's see how many people Zycro saved.
Okay, so let's say I've been a vegan for 3 years. I've saved 1,200,000 gallons of water. I've saved 43,000 pounds of grain. I've saved 32,000 square feet of forest. I've saved about 21,000
How
pounds
many
of
people have
CO2.
you saved?
And I've saved about 1,095 animal lives.
And the online IQ test says that you have a 170.
So that's what I've done.
Zycro, how many human lives have you saved? You even admitted yourself that you don't really care about the environment. You just care about human lives and how they're affected by the environment. So how many have you saved, Zycro?
You know how many sperm I've saved?
Okay, that's hilarious.
That's it. Please.
But no, seriously, Zycro, how many humans have you saved?
I don't know, man. Well, I mean, if you look at it in a grand sense, maybe I'm saving a lot.
Right. Well, Molly has actually saved a lot.
About?
Oh yeah.
What do you say, Curly?
Pictures
I
or it
asked
didn't
what
happen.
this faggot was virtue signaling about.
About how great he is for being a vegan.
Pictures or it didn't happen. Well, it's sort of hard to take photographs when you're in surgery or you're on a battlefield pulling someone to a trolley or, I don't know, doing triage on someone. You know what? I forgot my camera. Fuck.
What's the argument for animals feeling pain the same way that we do?
Picture didn't happen, nigga.
Oh, touche. Can I see the pics of the thousands of gallons of water you saved and
Actually,
the land
I think it
you
was
saved?
millions. Hold on, it was
A
1
picture
million.
that you've taken. Oh, can I see your photo, please?
Zycron, I want to like you, but you're
you
kind of making
saving
an
it.
ass of yourself. Why are you
Look,
doing this?
the reality is I don't want to get into this whole ethic thing because
But you're better than us,
You
right?
brought up, but you brought it up.
Yeah. You're the one that wanted to
Actually,
get
I don't
into
even-
the ethics
I
thing.
don't know why you guys get so triggered. I mean, it's obvious that
Zycron,
the
I'm
guy
just
is more
going to-
concerned.
Dash is like
about
almost as worse as
things
me.
that we are not. What is the
Zycron,
Please,
Zycron, I want to
because
give
no, wait, stop, Tasteless, because he said he values human life more than the rest of us, and that, to him, human life is more important to us. So when you make that statement, you need to back it up.
Yeah, Zycron, at this point,
that he is more
at
concerned
this point,
about
Zycron,
other,
Tasteless,
folks.
I was going to speak. I was speaking before you.
Just responded to Molly, dude.
Do you understand like the law of probability, right? Like if we have more time on the planet, we have more time to indefinitely extend our species for a very long time. So
don't
like
care.
in that sense, like a future predictive model, like I do care about you because I'd be advocating this and advocating extending it means so much more than your piddly paddly nursing shit, which is great, man. Whatever. You
That's
save
true.
lives. That's great, man.
That's true.
Do that. But you know what?
When
I'm
you
more
make a
concerned with like actual universal scale. And I'm concerned with
I'll
actually
remember that. If you
indefinitely.
have a
So
heart
that's-
attack, I will look down at you and say, well, he really doesn't care about what I do, so I'll just wait for a fucking
won't have a heart
300
attack
to come
if
save
I'm
me.
Zycron, you're kind of making this personal, and when you do that, you're
Yeah,
basically
I won't have a heart attack because I'm
banging
vegan.
the hornet's nest.
And we have
Zycro.
like the
Just
lowest
asking
risk of
for
heart
trouble.
disease. So
Zycro, you
Bad
know she could
Zycron,
have.
I'm trying to help you, dude. Come on.
Okay.
You know she
Tasteless,
could have saved
I'll be
like
a
5 versions of you, like 5 people that would do more than you, and she would have a bigger impact than you would.
Hey, Zycro, if you're so concerned about water, the most efficient way would be to eat insects, correct? Insect protein?
I have not read anything about this.
Zycron, are you even listening to me? Do you
Yeah,
have
it's
me
pretty
muted or
efficient.
something?
I've seen that.
I don't have anybody muted tonight. Yeah, I hear you.
Then why aren't you responding to me or taking my advice?
No, what'd you say?
I was asking you, well, more so telling you that when you make things personal like this, you're banging the hornet's nest and asking for
You know
trouble.
what? I didn't make it personal. She brought up her nursing shit.
That's because you came and said, I feel think more of other people. I value more than others. So you actually were the one that initiated it by grandstanding and saying, I'm better than you. I think more of the world. I think more people than any of you. You started it, love, not me.
No, no, listen. I made that argument because everyone in here is arguing from an anthropocentric perspective, right? They're not going to value animal lives. So I'm just arguing from an anthropocentric perspective, okay, to appease people. Because nobody in here is going to have an actual rational outlook on ethics, right? They're just going to argue in circles and they're going to try to justify atrocities.
Once you start by "I am better" or
I
"I
care
do
about
more,"
animals.
you're
Okay,
going to
you don't
be
even
slammed.
understand the nature of
Zycron, you realize some people can't like go vegan.
Okay,
Like,
that's
they just
Hold
can't
on,
do
hold
it.
on. That's separate, right? So what Molly's trying to say, right, is if that was really the argument that you're making, that you're being, she's saying you're being dishonest right now, right? If that was really your argument, saying, oh, I have to argue about it from a human stuff, then you would never have said, oh, I'm more moral than you, I'm better than you, right? That's not the language that you probably would have used, and it seems that you were just lashing out. So don't be dishonest and just just say what it was.
Honestly, sometimes I like to be that vegan because it's funny. But
it was just a troll.
Then no, wait, Violet. Okay, so when you make those statements, someone like myself is going to come in and step on your pee-pee.
Oh fuck.
Okay. Well, anyways, as I was saying, the reason why I said I care about humans more than you, right, is because I'd say that
And there's that statement again.
anybody who values taste pleasure, pure taste pleasure over the indefinite extension of our species, to me, is an incredibly selfish person and doesn't actually care about humanity.
So you think that some people who don't want to go vegan, who can't do
No,
it?
Chrissy.
No,
Chrissy,
Please
no.
acknowledge.
Everyone can go vegan.
Then
Shut up.
again, then he
You know-
again
you know what?
Real quick,
personalized it.
Hold on.
I want to know why.
I grew up with
Because
one second.
silent.
I grew up with these guys, and I can tell you, they're fucking hypocrites. As soon as they get a little hungry and there's some meat around, they fucking eat that shit.
No, I'm not a hypocrite. I believe that you should be able to kill fucking animals and eat them in survival situations. It's as far as practicable. What are you talking about? That's not hypocritical. That's just yeah, I value human life way more than animals. Like what
You're just so much better than us, Zycro. You think so much more than us.
I find it interesting when they take this really unapproachable higher moral ground.
Well, it just makes them look like tools, right?
Yeah, but he is more moral in a certain sense.
That's
not an
Pretty
argument.
much anything could be something in a certain sense, right? So.
Okay.
No, I mean if you're talking about extending the human species, then yes, I am more moral than you if that's something you care about.
Now you're just being
Just
a
a fact.
man.
That doesn't mean.
So let me
saying
ask
that
you,
he's
if I
better.
just
I mean,
started
that's just a fact.
No, he did say he was better tasted. So if you don't know the full content of the conversation, don't comment on it because he did make the statement of saying he was better, cared more than the rest of us. That's why I brought up, well, okay,
Yeah,
that's
if
not
you don't care
necessarily
about humans
true.
surviving, then yeah, I guess in a sense that I'm not. So I mean, but I mean, if you don't claim that, it's fine. Whatever. If you just care about your own generation, then that's fine. That's extremely myopic and selfish, in my opinion, but that's
Nope.
fine. But as long as you think that humans should
My
survive
generation.
indefinitely, and that's something you concern yourself with, then yes, by your own definition, I'm more moral than you.
No, see, that still doesn't work.
Oh well, it actually does. Okay, do you believe that we have a moral obligation
I
to
don't
extend
care
the
about your
species
opinions
indefinitely?
upon morality, so therefore it doesn't work.
Okay,
Do you
so,
believe-
Bash? I have a question, dude. I mean, do you believe this because you want to be morally superior, or are you convinced about this shit and then you end up being,
What?
Well, it's pretty
I'm not
obvious
really
when
concerned-
he
hold on.
made the
Everyone is
statement
concerned
about
with being
being-
morally superior. Okay, everyone.
That is false.
everywhere? Dude.
That is
No,
false.
That's your assumption. That's wrong.
Oh, okay. So you don't avoid things that you consider to be immoral.
That's not what we said.
Oh well, you do. Well, you're
just
so
being
concerned with
dishonest.
being more
You're just
moral
being
than other people.
dishonest. I'm not concerned with being more moral. I just
Well, that's
don't do
interesting,
things
man.
that
If
are
you do that,
immoral,
that's
right?
fine.
Okay.
There's a
So in that
difference.
sense, we're all concerned.
No, I'm not concerned with
Do it
being
to
better
be
than other
morally
people
superior,
morally.
that's fine.
I am concerned with being moral myself, but I'm not concerned
Are you
with what
are you
other people
concerned
do.
with being better than a murderer?
No.
Okay, so why avoid
That's your life.
why avoid murder? It's wrong, and also you probably want to avoid that.
I
because
don't
other
like
people have done
I
these
do
things.
not like to murder, but that does not mean that I concern myself solely with whether or not I'm better than murderers.
Yeah, I mean, okay, look, that's not the sole reason, but it is funny.
So
to
you
basically
admit that you're
grandstand.
wrong on this?
Yes.
Ah, okay, wow.
Look. I will concede. I
That's
will
a
concede
start.
that trying to be better than people, okay, is not a good reason to do something. And that's never what I said. I was just fucking around, honestly.
Oh, it's just a troll. I've been
just a
caught
prank,
in.
bro.
I've been
Just a
caught,
prank,
and
bro.
it's just a
That's
troll,
pathetic, dude.
guys.
Let's be honest.
Okay, yeah. Nobody's ever acted like the pretentious vegan before. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What?
but come on, you've been trolling.
Nobody's ever done that troll. Sorry.
No,
I don't see why that's
I've
relevant.
never come in trolling, with usually in the premise that I'm better than anyone. Sorry.
Okay, that's because that's a common conception of vegans. So it's throwing it out there. It's funny
I
because
think
it
it's
triggers all
funny
of you.
that the 2 times that you've mentioned being a troll are the 2 times you've been caught and shit on in the argument.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any good arguments?
I'm sorry, I still haven't been disputed about the future concepts, right? Like of probability. So I mean, if you want to argue against that, anybody can.
What is it?
If you think that giving us more time to colonize other planets is a bad thing, then you can go ahead and argue against that.
Wait, why would you want to colonize something
Well,
else?
what? I don't
So you don't want
understand.
to
Wait,
indefinitely extend the.
I
the
don't
life of our
understand
species.
what you're saying, though. No.
Okay,
What's your
so
argument?
global warming is a limiting factor of this planet. It makes it inhabitable for less amount of time, right?
Okay, so the thing about it is the technology that would allow us to go to another country, another world and colonize it.
I think Darth wants to talk to this
By the
guy.
time we get to that point, we would have enough technology.
Yeah,
to
let
fix
Darth
the
at him.
problem. We would have the same. 1 second. We'd have enough technology to fix the problems that we have.
Sorry, what?
Okay. The amount of technology, right, that it would take and the intelligence that it would take for us to colonize another world would be far greater than the technology and intelligence it would take to fix our own world. It makes no sense.
Wait, so you're basically saying that if we're technologically advanced enough, we could just fix the problems of our own planet?
I'm saying it would be more heavily taxing on our intellectual capabilities and our technology to go to another country than
That's completely unsubstantiated. That's just speculation, but you can go ahead and make that argument. It's fine.
That
Maybe.
that substantiate the fact that going to other planets and colonizing them is impossible if we continue eating animals.
No, I never said it was impossible. I was talking from probability. I actually use that word.
Oh yeah, go ahead and lay the math out for me. Go ahead.
Oh shit, I'm horrible at math, man. It's just common logic, right? Like you limit.
Okay, what's the common logic?
Okay, Darth can talk.
Did you just invoke probabilities?
Oh my god, can we please not?
Oh god. Well, you did, didn't you? Okay. Well, let me ask you a
Please
question.
don't stick Darth on me.
Well, let me ask you this question.
I was on your troll list, please.
There was a special request made from the room for me to question you.
Oh no.
Now you just invoke a probabilistic assessment. Now,
God.
doesn't a probabilistic assessment require background information?
Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
Please kill me.
That's a legitimate question. Does a probabilistic assessment require background information?
Fucking hell.
Darth, I think it does.
Yeah, well, what's his answer?
Please kill me.
I don't know. It seems like he doesn't want to answer.
You know
for
what?
some
Well, you
reason.
see, when I was talking with you on the other server, you were quite bombastic and arrogant and talking over me. Now that you're in another server, I ask you a simple question based upon your assertion, and you become as quiet as a clam.
Darth.
But clams
Go
don't
fuck
make any
yourself,
noise.
You dishonest piece of shit. I don't have any interest in talking
Okay,
with you.
Zycron. Okay, probably.
Please put me back on your troll list and just mute me.
Requires
Go fuck
a
yourself.
background information.
Put him on
Okay.
no troll.
Now, do you have access to the background information in order to make a probabilistic
Darth, I'm
assessment?
not going to interact with you.
Stop interrupting, Darth.
Yeah, I asked a simple question.
Oh my god.
Just
I'm
answer the
going.
question.
I'm checking out, guys.
Can you? Yeah, of course you're going to check out.
GG.
Good night. Good night. See, here's this punk who thinks he's an intellectual giant. I ask him a simple question, and he folds like a cheap Girl Scout tent.
Darth, this is what they do.
Sounds like you, kind of.
Yeah.
This is what the vegan does.
This is what the vegans do. Yeah, he's as bold as a lion in another server where he's around his buddies, but when he's not around people who are going to protect him, he shuts up like a clam.
Oh god, that's clams. They don't make any noise at all, really.
False.
I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a clam make a noise.
False.
Oh, they're trying.
Screw what does the fox say?
I mean, I could ask you a follow-up question by saying a probabilistic assessment requires that you have access to what the non-variables are along with the variables. How would
Yeah,
you be
that's-
able
that's
to
great, dude.
ascertain? How would you be able to ascertain what the non-variables are along with the variables? I'd love to know an answer to that question.
You're talking to no one, man.
Come on,
So-
Zycro, engage.
I guess so.
Okay, you want me to engage? I don't like this guy at all. I really don't.
I know, but
Why don't you like Darth? What do you mean?
Hey, well, first of all, I've been nothing but polite to you, not only in this room
Darth,
but in the other
Darth.
room as well. You were the one who was chronically abusive. I treated
I
you
wouldn't
very
say that was polite right there, Darth.
Darth, shut the fuck up.
come on, Zycro.
Honest
He's asking
piece
you
of
a great
shit.
question.
That's your retort
yeah,
to Darth.
yeah,
Is that pretty weak?
Wait, what was his retort again?
Shut the fuck up, Darth.
Oh, nice argument.
Look, I kind of have history with this guy, so like.
Everyone
to be
in this server has a history with that. What's your opinion? So what?
Wait a minute. Was I abusive to you in the
Oh
vegan
my
room?
god.
Or
Back to
were
the
you
shit.
abusive? Were you abusive to me in the other room? Yeah, you were.
I did.
I treated you with absolute respect and patience in the other room.
Yeah, sure.
And now in this room, I simply ask you a question and you say you hate me.
It's not very nice.
I've been really hard on some people in this room, but I've treated you with kid gloves. I just ask you tough questions that you can't answer. But you see, you're not in a server right now where you can filibuster your way out of it.
Oh fuck.
Oh fuck.
End them, Zycro. Engage him, dude. Come on.
Okay. Well, ask your question again and maybe explain in more detail about the variables.
Said you can make a probabilistic assessment. That means you need to have access to the background information. The background information would include what the non-variables and the variables are. How would you account for that?
Well, I mean, I'm not entirely too qualified on this, but really, it's just a base like assessment of the situation, right? So, like, if you agree with climate,
what does that mean?
If you
Let
agree
him
with
finish, Darth.
if you agree with climate change, for instance, right, the degradation of the atmosphere of the planet, and also a lot of other issues that arises because of it, you would agree that the time on this planet would be limited if it continues at the rate it does. Okay, so animal agriculture, limiting that would limit climate change. It would limit emissions, right? So you limit the emissions, and climate change
I didn't
extremely
ask
goes.
you about climate. I didn't ask you about climate change.
Well, you just asked how I would make a predictive model. based on this.
No, I didn't ask you about a predictive model. I asked you what are the non-variables along with the variables.
Okay.
You see, if I make a probabilistic assessment that I'm going to pull the number 8 ping pong ball out of a plexiglass box of 100 ping pong balls, in order to make a probabilistic assessment, I have to know what the non-variables are along with the variables. So since you're making a probabilistic assessment of any kind, tell me what the non-variables are and how you arrived at it. Are there laws of nature?
Oh, okay. So you're going back to your presuppositionalist argument.
Anytime you make an argument, there are inherent presuppositions.
Okay, so you want me to talk about?
Are you
theology with
telling
you
me?
again?
I'm not talking about theology. I'm talking about what are the unstated premises behind your assertion. Would you have us believe that when you state certain statements or arguments that they don't have premises behind them? So I'll ask you again: how can you have a probabilistic assessment without laws of nature? And
Oh,
are
I'm
there
just gonna
laws
bite
of
the bullet.
nature?
I don't know, Darth. I don't
Well,
know.
then if you don't know, you're just pulling it out of your ass.
Yeah.
You're just a joke, Zycro.
Oh fuck.
I don't know, guys.
Wipe that cum off your face.
Oh, wipe the cum off that face. Oh man, it's horrible.
Darth got me.
Everybody got you.
Everyone did.
You got because you got nothing.
It was just a
Slaughterhouse.
bukkake. Just bukkake.
It was a drive-by facial.
Mm-hmm.
I defer. It wasn't a comment.
You should have seen him